It's the SDG Podcast. Before we get started, you can check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com/podcast or find us on all the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.
All right. So we're going to talk about tech myths today. So before we get started, let's introduce Peter Lawrence.
Hi there.
And Chad Juttner is with us.
Hey, guys.
And Eric Schneider is back.
Howdy.
Because he wanted to talk about some tech myths, but I guess I should tell people I'm Kyle Bacher. And welcome. Thanks for being here. So, Eric, you suggested this topic. So what did you have in mind for tech myths?
Yeah, the thing that came to mind, because it's the one I hear the most often, and it's one that people are extremely committed to. It's really the tech version of Daddy Longlegs or the most poisonous spider. Like that one I've heard my entire life, and like as a culture we've accepted it as true. But it's that all those smart devices that you're surrounded by, that they're all listening to every conversation you have and beaming it all to the mothership. To the point where I know multiple people where they've banned those things in their house, even though their phones are one of those things. But they won't have go ahead.
I'm sure they lock the phone away in a Faraday cage every night when they get home.
Exactly. Yeah,
they got the chip bag.
Yeah, they got those things at schools now where you're not allowed to have your phone, but they also don't want to confiscate hundreds of phones every day. So they put it in a security bag, and you can keep the security bag with your phone, but do that when you walk into your own house. But
that's actually an innovation, if you want to call it that. But that was a thing. Who was the first band to do that? I think it was the White Stripes. Jack White did this for his concert in Minneapolis at the Armory. He didn't want people recording. He wanted people to enjoy the show. So everybody, as you walk in, got this thing. If you had a phone, if you went through security with a phone, they said, leave it in your car. But if you brought it in, they put it in this bag that they had the key for. So if you brought your phone, it would get locked in a bag. You wouldn't be able to pull it out until you left. It was kind of a neat little thing. And I think every once in a while people still do. I think mostly that's a thing that's mostly used by stand-up comedians. They don't want their show recorded. And so I think Chappelle did this, Chris Rock did this. They'll make you put your phone in a sealed bag, and then you get it locked when you leave.
So that's really about stopping a number of things. They don't want their stuff recorded, and they don't want a bunch of people holding up their phones instead of focusing on the show and bugging each other, because when you got people in front of you holding up their phones, it kind of puts a damper on things. I'm all for no phones in any kind of entertainment venue.
So as far as I've been told, though, by the masses, even in that bag, though, it's still beaming their whole comedy show straight to Google, who's recording the whole thing.
So I've had this happen. Where I'm talking to my buddy about something, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing it come up in different places, like ads and things like that. And I think it's a coincidence, because you talk about stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm. And when it matches, then you care.
Yeah. And then it's oh my gosh, they're listening. That can only be what's happening.
Right. So, it's definitely, I was talking to my wife about cat food. It's definitely that my smart device heard me talking about cat food, and not that they already know I own a cat because I've ordered cat food 100 times.
There have been, for a lot of people, though, there have been way weirder, quote unquote coincidences, right? I have a dog, I have a neat car, I have a couple of things, and I get ad for that. But we'll be talking about a show or something, and then that show pops up on her Facebook feed, right? I'm not on there as much as I used to be. And that stuff seems odd, right? But I don't necessarily buy in that the phones are, technically, yes, the phones are 100% always listening, right? The devices are always listening, but they're listening for their trigger word, right?
Right.
And theoretically, they're not supposed to be recording otherwise. And I
just
believe
the data storage requirements
Right.
of that situation when it's happening to everybody.
I don't know though.
There have been like exceptions that were mistakes, like the initial like Google, I forget what they call the little Google Home devices or whatever. The button had like a layer of fabric over it, and they didn't take into consideration that fabric was conductive enough to like activate the button, and so the like button. So if you don't want to have it listening to you, you can like mute it, and then there's a button you press to talk to it to wake it up, and like that button was just being held down all the time on some people's devices, and so it literally was like people are like I went onto the page where I could see my recordings, and it's just 24 hours every day of recordings. But that's not an intentional design, right? That's just a oops.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been research done, right? Like folks, like people like isolate their network, and they monitor the traffic coming into and out of those specific devices, and they can kind of prove, yeah, no, we're not listening to we're not transmitting everything. I think if if they were a little less ethically sound, like they would want to. I don't think they would care about maybe not necessarily your voice, but I mean, with the way things are right now, you could upload text transcriptions of what you're saying easily. Right. And I think they would just eat that stuff up if they could. But
right, and there's a lot of companies that even just straight up claims in their marketing about not tracking, like VPN providers are notorious for that, where they'll claim that they don't log your traffic, and then turns out as soon as they get a subpoena, they're able to produce those logs that they theoretically don't have.
Yeah.
So I agree on the ethics side, because like the more data that they can sell, the better.
Evil geniuses are out there.
The better for them, not for you necessarily, right. Unless you want your search results to show up with ads for things that you may have mentioned in a conversation or not, right? Mm-hmm. But most of the time, you're somebody in the vicinity, either over Wi-Fi, if you're at a house, they've Googled the thing that you are having a conversation about, or even the thing that started the conversation came through, right? Like, I got an ad for this thing, and then we talked about that thing, and then later on we got another ad for it. Big surprise.
Right.
Well, there's the kind of the zeitgeist effect where it's kind of on everybody's radar.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, we're talking about K-pop demon hunters in my household because everyone's talking about K-pop demon hunters everywhere.
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it, but I have referenced it in different things. So, yeah.
So this is the listening piece, part of your smartphone or what you carry with you, or smart house. The idea that someone can hack your house, is that real? Can people hack into your refrigerator and fire up your ice machine?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they can, whether your house is a target or not, I don't know. But I have seen some fairly innovative things though, like so kind of related to what we were just talking about smart devices and listening is you can because the way a microphone works is the sound wave makes it move back and forth, right? Well, you can do that with a laser beam apparently. So you can activate a microphone from outside of your house through a window by just like with a carefully placed laser. And so you can, if your smart device doesn't have any authentication on it, which they generally do because they're just off of proximity, you can command the garage door to open or something if you have a smart garage door by telling that smart device from outside the house to do it.
So you're saying you can actually broadcast sound into a house with a laser?
Right. You have to know where to point because you have to point it right at the microphone, but I've seen it demonstrated.
I want that in my car. I want to be able to talk to the car ahead of me or the car behind me. Stop what you're doing.
I was going to say, my neighbors have broadcast sound into my house before, but that's only when I'm trying to sleep.
Right.
How early can I mow? Yeah. Sunrise.
8 a.m. I think that's the accepted standard. 8 a.m. is the earliest, but you're still kind of a dick if you do it. I think say 9 a.m., 10 a.m. is our neighborhood agreement.
Where everyone gets out their lawnmowers.
Yeah, although I just got an electric mower this season, and I don't mow, but I don't hear it. It's so quiet. I don't think it matters anymore if you're using something that's not powered by dead dinosaurs.
It is a lot quieter, that's for sure.
And the torque is higher. I believe it cuts better. It's electric. What do you think? Is that true? Or is that a myth?
My grass is short, no matter what.
Well, I guess that has been the arc within my lifespan, at least, is you had to watch out for drills you plugged in, but not the battery powered ones because they didn't have the torque, and that is definitely not true anymore. Now the battery powered ones will get you. So I assume the same is true for lawnmowers and that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. So modern battery myths. Do you have to drain your battery all the way anymore? Is that a thing?
Do not do that.
No.
Ever.
Yeah. Was it called battery memory? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's an example of one where it's not that so much that it was always a myth. It was a thing, but it's not something that has been overcome, but people still try and play by the old rules, right?
Yeah.
Turn their battery all the way down to 0, charge it all the way up to 100%.
Don't leave it charging at 100%, or it'll blow up your battery. Is that true?
It'll charge to 160% and explode. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I had a battery swell up like it ate a small rodent.
little pillow battery.
Yeah.
You just poke those with a knife, right? And then all the magic smoke comes out really fast and bursts into flames.
So there was some old myths I looked up from the 70s, and actually grabbed the ones from the 90s forward, figuring they'd be a little bit better. But the idea that we all knew about Y2K, and that was going to destroy the universe.
We've talked
Macs
about that here
can't
before.
get viruses.
Well, the Y2K thing, it bugs me, right? Because like everybody says, oh yeah, everybody got so worked up over nothing. Well, it kind of discounts all of the hard work that so many people did in the mid to late 90s to make sure that it wasn't a thing, right? Like it's so annoying to work your ass out on something and then have somebody be like, just kind of casually say, oh yeah, that was a myth. That wasn't a big deal. I'm like, the hell it wasn't, man. That was like 2 years of my life getting ready for that, and we worked our asses out to make sure that you could still, run your credit card or train switches. I think train switches were the one thing. Okay, like as it was getting closer, like, crap, that stuff still runs on whatever, COBOL or whatever. So that myth, I mean, that Y2K wasn't a myth at all. It was a very significant thing, and it's going to happen again in 8 years, Peter?
I was just gonna say for the upcoming one, do we all just agree as technologists we're all gonna do nothing to prove that it's real? Let the world burn.
Yeah,
we're gonna get our generators now and our toilet paper.
Yeah,
Well, that's another myth.
The Unix epoch one, right? Like it'll roll over. It'll overflow a 32-bit or something like that.
Yeah, that's when the epoch number becomes a larger, more than, what is it? I forget the exact integer top end, but yeah, we just need
more than 2 point whatever billion. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wasn't the myth that started that myth was that 2-digit date would only last so long because all of the software would be replaced by then?
Yeah, I don't know if it was it? Because like I think the bigger issue with the Y2K stuff wasn't necessarily like the stuff the shrink wrapped stuff. It was a lot of internal like corporate systems, right? Like all of the app modernizations that we're really good at today, I mean, those were still systems in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. And it was, I think, a whole lot of that stuff, but then a small slice of just consumer software. Like consumer software, I don't think was ever really the biggest issue with Y2K. It was all the custom software that we build for large companies that was a much bigger concern.
Well, yeah, and there was storage considerations, but there was also just everybody used, what year, when were you born? 82. I didn't have to say 1982, 1782, or anything like that, right?
I still think it's weird. This is a tangent, but I mean, back before the year 2000, we used to talk about the 90s and the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, and we used to refer to decades as, and now like nobody refers to the last 25 years. Like we're not saying, hey, it's the 20s again. It's the
right. I don't know, 20s, man.
The problem was the aughts.
2000, yeah, whatever. I still caught onto the aughts, but we're not talking about like 2010 to 2019. Like what is that? I miss refer to decades as the decade that it was.
Yeah, it might just be because the time since then, since 2000, has just been a blur. Maybe. Yeah, I saw someone make the joke that like there was a pregnancy announcement and they had the parents' birthdays and there was it being in the 90s and someone's like, what are we celebrating teen pregnancy now? They're in their 30s.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about.
But Kyle, I believe what you were saying about like not like intentionally like expecting things to get better, because that's been my personal rule is like if there's an edge case where it's going to break in the future, all I care about is it going to happen before I retire or not? Because if it's post my retirement, then it doesn't matter.
But the real question is, can you come out of retirement and get paid a boatload of money to help fix the thing before it goes bad, right? Like,
yeah, that is the consulting plan. The consulting creed, right? Is if you can't, well, I suppose in that case you'd have to help, but if you can't help with the problem, it's good money to be made in prolonging the problem, right?
I mean, the COBOL developers that I worked with in, the late 90s were definitely either at or after retirement, and they'd come back because the amounts of money being thrown around were so gigantic that they said, heck yeah.
I mean, still, right? Like I'm working with a couple of dudes right now that are COBOL, AS400, like those types of dudes. As those systems are getting replaced, those guys were, either retired or asked to go into retirement. They come out, billing $400 or $500 an hour, and it's they treat corporate IT like a quick ATM. Like, hey, I want to go on vacation. I'm gonna go work 8 hours really quick. It's a real thing that literally happened to me over the last few months with where I'm at. So
what's going to be? Are we unretire to deal with a legacy of React code or something?
I think there had been talk of Java becoming COBOL, right? Like Java programmers today, but I don't know that that's going to be really the case because that language is still like kind of still fresh, and it's not as obscure and difficult to follow as like COBOL or PunchCard. Like it's pretty well, it's pretty readable code. So I don't know that there's going to be another thing like COBOL, right? Like nobody built I would say Perl, but nobody really built enterprise systems on top of Perl. It's not a thing.
I mean, as soon as Java gets replaced by something else, then it might have a chance, but it's just not gotten there yet.
Maybe, but
so far we just keep adding languages. I don't know if we're subtracting them.
Yeah, but Java has been about to be replaced by something else for 15 years now?
Probably, yeah. I mean, because Java's 35 years old, 30 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
Once enough people have it and aren't willing to let it go and don't want to upgrade.
It's not even a case of upgrading. I think it's just a case of it's good enough, right? Like the Java and the JVM and every part of that ecosystem is so there's what other problems are you going to solve by introducing a new language to that? I'm sure it's something that I'm not thinking of, maybe when we get to quantum computing or something else, but specialized languages for specialized applications, maybe, but as a general language for internal business systems, I mean, Java and C# are great. And that's, You heard that correctly, Peter. I said C sharp is great. Like, what else? How many different ways do you need to code an if-then statement? You know, we don't need another language for that.
But COBOL was 40 years old when we were getting rid of it in the late 90s, right?
You're not wrong. Yeah, but again, like COBOL didn't really have I think right now, like anybody could kind of get up to speed on Java and C sharp by going online, taking a couple of courses. Like the tools are freely available, like the documentation is there. Even in the late 90s, you couldn't go online and just like read about COBOL, be like, hey, I'm gonna become a COBOL developer, right? Because there's no system to code on. You can't write it on your own laptop or your desktop back then, or your Packard Bell.
Right.
Elephant, like that wasn't a thing,
There's no vibe coding for COBOL.
God, I hope not. I mean, if those guys are vibe coding I won't get into this on. Yeah, no, there's no vibe coding for COBOL. I don't think.
Nope. So 5G is going to blow up your brain and melt your face. That's a modern, I think, myth.
Yeah, and that gets combined with non-tech myths too, because there's just the simple it's going to make you sick, or it's going to hurt you in some way, but or it's going to activate the nanoprobes in your vaccine too, is a variation. So you can stack
nanoparticles, man.
Yeah, you can stack the myths on top of each other. Yeah,
it's going to melt the microplastics.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, that one I almost understand a little bit, because like having a cell phone tower like in your backyard, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of it is a little nerve-wracking to see that stuff go up, and we don't necessarily have a history as a country of like utilities having everybody's best interest in mind, right? Or fixing something once they do screw up. So like I get why people were a little nervous about that, but like yeah, the very, 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 very low risk of any kind of negative impact to that. But like that, I understand, And
plus, I'm not an expert, but isn't the 5G signals the same as the old standard def television signals? Like they're the same frequency? Because that's where the airspace came from. Is they ditched it and resold it, and then it became 4G and 5G and all that. So if it had been a thing, it would have been a thing before now.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
but and stand between like Aaron Brockovich and all the other like dramatizations of like things that happened in the 70s and 80s, you can kind of get why like some of the older generations were a little skittish about, yeah, no, go ahead, put up this big monstrous like cell phone monolith in my backyard and make it look like a pine tree. Great, but it's still gonna buzz and hum and make me think I'm getting the cancers.
Getting the cancers. There you go.
That was like living under high tension power lines, kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. They're going to give you brain tumors.
What else we got, Kyle?
Let me think.
I got a couple.
Death of the internet.
Oh yeah. What is that called? The dead internet theory, I think.
The what?
Which, so it's potentially accelerated by AI generated content, where the useful parts of the internet initially were human generated. So your forums, which consolidated to Reddit and other forms of social media. But now there's so many bots out there that are just spewing content into the void that it can be hard to, and everyone's attention span's so low that there's more content now being generated by bots than humans. And it's all just recycled content that was from humans, but it just, it loses resolution over time, right? Because it's content generated from that a bot generates from another bot, and on average it just gets worse. And so at what point will it all just fall apart where there's no place to get quality content anymore, and the internet will just die as a result? That's the theory.
I think so. One of the things that I've noticed lately that I actually hate is the Google AI summary. So you search for anything, right? Mm-hmm. So like this one isn't that crazy, right? You search for anything online, and there's the AI overview that becomes the first hit on Google, right? Well, where does that AI overview come, right? Probably the top 5 results for that. So now you're not sending traffic to those sites anymore, but Google is harvesting that and putting it in front of you. So those sites don't get traffic, they don't get the ad revenue, and Google gets all of the views from what that was, right? And it's not even like generic things anymore. It's like specific things. Like sometimes when I look up baseball statistics, that used to, like, I would just type into Google because I'm lazy, Kent Herbeck number of home runs in the 80s, right? And it would say, here's Kent Herbeck's page on baseballreference.com. Go there, grab it. Now, sometimes it'll have its AI summary because it slurped all that information from, some of the actual sites that need the traffic and presented it to you. So, like, I don't know why Baseball Reference would continue to let themselves be indexed by Google. But then once you stop doing that, then what happens, right? Google doesn't send you traffic. So you're only aware of, you only get traffic from Bing or DuckDuckGo or whatever the hell else. I don't know, man. I think that one actually has some shred of reality baked into it just based on what Google alone is doing. And I don't use Bing or the other one, so I don't know how they're handling it.
But don't you guys just scroll through to get past the ads anyway, down to the real content on every search?
I think I think depending on the search, like what I'm talking about is that very top level AI overview of those.
That's an ad. That's an ad. You just scroll by it.
Yeah. No, it's
I stop when I think that I've gotten to the information I need. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, that looks good, whether it's right or not.
Right, and that's the issue. Is I've seen some of those summaries where they're summarizing a specific page, and the summary is just inaccurate. And it's not even whether the page is true or not. It's just like an inaccurate summary of the page, where it can't even summarize it correctly, unfortunately.
So is it just poorly written bots? I did see somewhere that the traffic has overtaken the bot traffic, good and bad, has overtaken human traffic this week or last week, sometime recently.
Yeah, and it really because like a big problem with social media is echo chambers, right? Like you find a space, like you've carved out. So someone's carved out a space where everybody agrees with what you think, and it just reinforces it. And now the idea that the echo space can be created by bots is alarming, where you feel like everybody, I'm using air quotes, everybody has the same opinion as you. But in reality, no, like the number of people involved in the conversation is almost none.
Then when you hear something that's contrary to your opinion, you're so used to people agreeing with you, it's like really pisses you off. Like, what is happening here?
Yeah, what in the world is this? Everybody agrees with me.
This is why I have leaned hard into in-person again. I mean, not that this affects our 9-to-5 job as much, right? Like we're not at my client assuming that I'm just talking about like these are real people. But I don't engage online anymore almost at all because of exactly that, right? Like it's just all it's slop, and it's so disheartening, like to see the amount of it, and like things like Sora, right? It is a really cool bit of technology, but imagine like at some point the Sora website just becoming like TikTok, where people mindlessly scroll through, and now they're not even seeing anything originating from a creator, right? They're just seeing auto-generated AI slop based on their interests, and their brain is, I just can't imagine the amount of brain rot that's going to happen by like scrolling through a Sora feed or what's the other one, Kyle? There's another like AI video create blah, 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 right?
Yeah, there's the one baked into ChatGPT, Dolly.
Yeah,
that's static images. I don't know for video. I used, I didn't actually use it because my laptop wasn't powerful enough, but there's things like Stable Diffusion for video and a lot of tools like that can run locally. But as far as online, Sora seems to be the thing. I think Grok is starting to do one kind of in a similar vein. It's cool when you first use it. All that stuff is cool, but then you kind of have this empty feeling about it where you don't really do anything. You put some stuff in, it made you something, and then you tweaked it. And then the output is like, well, this looks all right. But the more and more I see that is obviously AI that companies and other places are using, it just lacks something. It just doesn't feel like it's earned.
I kind of hope, it would be kind of nice. I mean, I don't even want I don't want my manager to use AI to help write my review, right? Like I want
Right.
everything written, personalized to me, to come from a person, right? Like I would be so disheartened if I found out like here's this long paragraphs of whatever about how your last year was, right? And if I found out that somebody just like dumped a bunch of like feedback things into an AI and generated like a few paragraphs, like I know that I know it's inevitable. I hope at some point we can put together some guidelines to say like, hey, here's the things where AI is an appropriate use case, right? And it is, maybe some of our social media stuff, maybe some of our, some of that stuff, right? To clean up grammar and everything else. But when you want to have a personal connection with any individual person, like, please God, don't use AI, right? Like, don't use AI for, like write-ups for SDG awards. Don't use it for retros. Don't use it when you're trying to, send out something like some sort of recognition or anything. That just feels empty and lame. And it ethically, I don't know, right? Like whatever, but like, God, that would suck if that became.
What if my English skills are, at a third grade level?
Well, I mean,
we'll happily accept your third grade feedback.
Yeah.
Third grade level feedback, honestly.
Everybody writes in a voice, and when that voice turns to AI, it's like, this is different. And yeah, I get your saying, Chad. I agree, and I think that the fact that that stuff is happening across the globe,
it's really
kind of
amazing
wrecks it. It kind of wrecks it for people that are writing original stuff, because then everybody, thinks if it's, oh, that's obviously AI. That's too good. That's, and that sucks if you write something and then people accuse you of using ChatGPT to write it. It's like, no, I wrote that poem. I thought, I spent an hour on it, and that's what I came up with. And
that is one thing that I like. I'm not the kind of like, I don't think you would see anything that I wrote specifically, right? Like, look at my last 10 high fives I've written. Those are obviously me, right? And I don't know that AI can do that, write like I do quite yet, right? Because it's kind of disjointed and there's some non sequiturs and it's just like whatever, right? But like if my default communication style was indistinguishable from AI, I'd feel, I don't know, man. Like it's a weird. I'd have a weird feeling, right? Because
it affects your relationship with somebody. Because then you talk to them in person, and it's like, this is not the person I talked to over email.
Yeah, but also I'm trying to like, what does that say about me, right? Where like my default style of talking to people is indistinguishable from AI. Like I would actually I'd be kind of disheartened. I don't think I'm there yet, but like I can see hints of that. Like I just like, that's one of the things that I like, especially when you're mentoring younger people, like really, really, really find a voice and make sure that it isn't just like generic corporate slop. Like, because we talk about AI slop, but there's also like corporate speak slop too that just comes out of people.
Right.
Like, come on, have an actual voice, have a style, have something, right? It doesn't have to be, silly and goofy like me, but you have to do something to distinguish yourself from, a computer.
From hanging their posters and
yeah.
You should, your voice should be distinct enough that when you fill out an anonymous company survey, that you're afraid.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna know this is me.
Exactly. Like I can't use my voice if I'm being surveyed, quote unquote, anonymously, right? Like I have to adjust my style because people know. I would assume that people know right now when I'm writing a comment versus somebody else, but who knows? Maybe I'm giving myself way too much credit. I have no idea.
I think the swear words and the capitalization totally give you away.
I think they're like this. There's 50 exclamation points here, Kyle. Yeah.
Is that all? I meant 60.
One is all you need to tell the story. So programmers are obviously going to be replaced by AI here in the next 4 to 6 months.
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I heard that 4 to 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But here's my real fear or question to you guys is, all right, so let's say I'm a person in high school or whatever, and I'm being taught by AI to code, and I pass through the tech interview and I get hired and I still code with AI. What happens when I get to the problems that I can't solve with AI?
Well, I mean,
more AI.
So if you're talking about where you're still at that junior level, that's still, even without AI, that's still a reality, right? Like,
right.
You hire somebody who knows how to solve problems and use the tools and everything, but they're still going to constantly run into problems they don't know how to overcome.
Right.
And so that doesn't get changed by AI.
But how do they get to become senior?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a top down. I mean, if you're talking about an organization where those senior level people don't exist, then
eventually, right? Like how did okay, so I came up through Unix and DOS and the 80s and 90s and back when they started with a 1 and stuff like that. And I learned a lot of stuff along the way, and I apply that a lot of times during the day, right? Like maybe not directly, but indirectly, I use some of those skills and some of that thinking and knowledge. But if I'd been brought up by a computer and an AI to do all that stuff, because I mean, a lot of that old stuff you had to learn on your own, right? There was maybe a magazine article that gave you a hint, but if you wanted to write a game or whatever, you kind of did that on your own.
Yeah, I think it depends on the individual though, because and I'm not certainly not the first person to defend AI, but there's a big difference between right, like solve this problem for me and you just copy paste it into the file and hit go,
right,
versus how do I solve this problem? Oh, I see you generated this code. Can you explain it to me? And interacting with it in the same way that you would interact with a mentor, right? To understand what it's doing,
yeah,
and gaining that knowledge, right? Because the knowledge is in there now,
right.
And to be frank, I'm sure I give bad advice all the time, and so
You do.
So AI obviously gives bad advice frequently too, but
right.
But you learn those tribulations. But I think the problem comes in that copy paste scenario though, where if you hire somebody in and they're turning code in and you're reviewing it and you're asking them questions and they can't defend what they did,
right,
then they're on the wrong path toward learning and understanding what their career is.
right.
So when are they going to get good enough where they can create virtual employees that are 100% work from home, and you've got one person that has 1,000 people working the different jobs across the country, quote unquote? Yeah, superbots, AI, artificial people that
you'll
can
get
kind
arrested
of do it. They can kind of hang, so can.
You'll get
a year
arrested
out
as a pot grower because you're going to use so much electricity that your house is going to show up on when there's no snow on your roof, Kyle. People are going to come by and think that you're a drug dealer and not
this is
an
Minnesota.
AI
I'm
farmer.
allowed to grow. Yeah.
Right, which is the right, I guess, is the reckoning with AI. It happens in a lot of new industries, is that it's free or close to free in a way to gain users, but at some point someone's got to pay the bill, right? And I don't, and the kind of more or less free ride that we're all on right now that ride has to come to an end at some point here. And so either, like you're saying, either you got to power it yourself, or some of these services are going to have to get exorbitantly expensive at some point, I imagine.
assume they pay for electricity someday, and not just use billions of investment dollars to pay for it.
Isn't that what's happening? Just shoveling it into the fire.
Right.
That's the article we talked about like last week or the week before that I posted, where essentially that's what they're doing. They're just burning through cash. Nvidia and all these AI companies are just basically just swapping back and forth the same dollars of investor cash. And I mean, I don't understand. I didn't understand everything about the economics of how this is all working. Like, if I'm a billionaire and I want to throw $10 billion at an AI problem, I would assume that those are smart people, right? To become a billionaire, you have to be relatively clever. How do you see that problem and just think, oh, yeah, no, I'm totally going to make those billions back? Like, that's absolutely going to be a thing, and not see that stuff just literally go up in flames or go into a data center that's obsolete, the day you turn the lights on. It's I'm truly like stumped. It does seem like we're in the same .com bubble that we suffered through in the 90s, but I don't. Yeah, I truly don't get it. I'm hoping it's not as bad as like Cory Doctorow wrote about, right? Because didn't he say like 30% of the S&P 500 is tied up in this thing that's basically going to just disappear and evaporate, right? Like that money is, all those companies are just going to go away or something, right? I hope that's
I think I heard this a similar figure is like 40% of our GDP right now is tied up in AI.
Yeah, and as a guy that wants to retire in a few years, like I certainly hope that my 401ks, such as they are, don't just evaporate because we got nuts again over something that was unproven. I don't know. We'll see.
It's all going into government cheese.
Government cheese.
You're going to hit the cheese bubble.
In the caves.
Yeah, they propped up dairy companies because they were not doing so well. So, and then they ended up with like this huge cheese cave or warehouse, and then they started giving it away. So it's like that in reverse. Yeah, you got to look at the total cost. What's the cost of asking AI to make a cute image? How much does that cost? Is that like a penny? Is it a dime?
It raises the temperature of my local lake 1 degree Celsius every time.
Everybody's going to have hot tubs in their backyard pretty soon.
Yeah.
What is another tech myth, Eric, that we wanted to talk about?
Another one we talked about that maybe was true at a time, but I'm skeptical of now. But maybe you all have more experiences. Is the dangers of public Wi-Fi?
Oh yeah.
I was hoping you were going to say that we know your password.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So what are the dangers of public Wi-Fi? This is outside of 5G, right? This is everybody on the same network.
But this goes back, right? Because there was a point in time where not every website used SSL, right? There was a lot of websites and even I spent a lot of years writing websites where it wasn't SSL, but then you went to the login page and we redirected you to it for the account section, but the public facing side wasn't, because it was expensive and it was it took CPU cycles that we didn't have.
Our default was non-secure websites, and that seemed I mean, kind of for like CNN and other things, it still seems almost kind of reasonable, right? Like I don't necessarily need my New York Times article encrypted really at all. I mean, encrypt my password, that's it. But go on, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no worries. So to a degree, it's like, well, if you're at home, like the way the Wi-Fi works is if you have the code, then all the traffic from your device to the hotspot is encrypted to a degree. But the public ones, it's just open, right, where people can theoretically farm your packets. And so it's what's the danger of that? But I think like nowadays we live in a reality where a lot more things are end-to-end secure. I think Google, to their credit, helped a lot with it of, getting to the point where it seems unreasonable to not make things secure. So we're just gonna take away your link juice for websites that aren't secure at this point, and started pushing things down the rank and forcing everybody to do it. And it's had a huge benefit now, because now like Chad, I agree with you. Like there's a lot of things that it's not important, but I think having it as a universal rule is helpful, because then you can just assume that everything is secure from your device to that far server, regardless of how, like, what's going on traffic wise in between, the Wi-Fi or any other part of the internet, right?
One part of it was that people were going to spin up, and it's still an issue, right? People can spin up a fake Caribou Coffee, and you connect through it and give all your traffic there. And I think there's some man in the middle SSL that you can do. It's a lot more challenging, obviously, but
well, it's not much different than like plugging into an old school like network hub, right? Like that's what you're talking about. And I think, early Wi-Fi protocols like the 802.11, until it was like B or something, it was by default basically just like Ethernet, right? Like you were plugged into a router, and if you're on the network, you could sniff all the traffic, right? Like that was just that was the state of the world back then. If you put your Do you remember the Wi-Fi? What is it? The cards that you actually plugged into the side of the laptop. What is it? The PCI card, right?
Yeah. PCMCIA.
Yeah. And you just put your card in promiscuous mode, and all of a sudden you're listening to everything. And I think I seem to recall like one of the default states of that stuff to be unsecure, right?
Right.
So it wasn't such a. Again, this myth of public Wi-Fi being unsafe or whatever there's a little truth to early stages of that. But I think the current state protocols are, by default a little tighter than.
Well, now everybody has unlimited data plans, and so why would I even use Wi-Fi when I've got cellular service that's just as fast? Because I've got 5G.
Yeah, I still have. I'm still like my cell service is spotty. Sometimes I don't know if it's my phone or whatever, but I still prefer to be on a network. It always seems more generally stable.
It is very true.
The my Samsung Android phone sucked when I tethered. It was 4G, and when I got this new iPhone and tethered it, I'm like, holy crap, this is lightning fast.
Whole new world.
Yeah.
So the one quick thing I'll add on the Wi-Fi, and there is the reverse problem though, where you getting hacked, but also there's been instances of places like Best Buy. I think they were all their cash registers ran on a Wi-Fi network, and they didn't bother putting any security on it, so you could it wasn't like, I forget what the term is, but like where they'll advertise the SSID versus not. So if you just knew that ID, you could get on that network and then sniff all of that, all the traffic, pick up credit card numbers and stuff for. So
oops.
There's problems with that in the other direction too. But yeah, I think we got to get to the Chad by popular demand.
Chad's password. Tell me his password. I need to know it. Is it password 123?
My passwords are actually surprisingly simple to figure out. It wouldn't take you much to.
You need a special character there, Peter.
But I was gonna say, like, no, I don't know your current password. However, I think for us, it is relatively simple for us to go and just download one of the previously exposed databases. And between all the rainbow tables and all the hash tables and everything else that we've actually developed right now, it's not impossible for us to figure out what your passwords used to be. And knowing what they used to be probably gives us a pretty good idea of what they are today, right? Like,
that's true.
That it's that hard for us to really crack, unless you're using. And this is why I do, like, for the most part, a lot of the times now I'll use the default, like Apple will generate something for me, right? Like the password.
Yep.
Like use the strong one without special, or with or without special characters. Yeah, I think knowing people's passwords, if they're creating them themselves, we could probably figure it out. I don't know. What do you think?
Chad, you're giving me I've genuinely never thought of when the in-law, because this came from I put this on just as a joke because my in-laws call me all the time, and it's come up multiple times of like literally they're asking if I know their password. Like, no, I have no idea what you said is your password when you set up this device, your iPhone 4 years ago. But it's a good idea. Like when that happens, I should really just go download, go on one of those, your password's been pwned sites and see if I could just look up their password, because it's probably in there.
Yeah.
Because they'll.
Have you been owned was I think they used to actually show you, like, you type in an email, but like they do link to all of the like data breaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can download the breaches. The only thing they do really well is, I mean, they just coalesce all of that into one big thing. So you can either type in your email, it'll tell you yes or no, or you can type in a password. It'll say, hey, that password is or is not in our database. So one way or the other. I think I think it is easy for us. Now, it's not easy for just like a regular, probably not just a casual, person that, doesn't deal with technology and then, as their primary job. Maybe not as easy for them, but seriously, I don't think it's going to be that hard. I wish I knew my mom and dad's password all the time. I make them write it down in a book.
Mm-hmm.
We literally bought it at Target. Internet password book. That's my mom's.
Yep.
She has that now instead of an actual old school address book. And I like write them down and tell my brother and sister, hey, there's mom and dad updated their password. It's this now, and everybody knows, so that inevitably when they can't log into Gmail or forget their Wi-Fi password, like, there it is. Please stop asking.
Yeah, I've definitely taken to capturing other people's passwords in my password manager for family, not work. I don't want to know it. I don't want that kind of pressure. I don't want admin rights. We've talked about that before. Like, nope. I want the least privileged access that I need, and that's all I want. Even when it makes me mad that I can't do something and I need to ask for help.
Yeah,
it's better for me that way.
Right.
Well, praise be to whoever decided to just auto-generate a secure password for Wi-Fi and just print out a sticker and put it on all the base stations, because that both like increased the overall security of people's Wi-Fi of not just using like simple passwords. And I could just tell our in-laws, go look at the bottom of the base station. It'll be your password's right on it.
I only had to drive an hour and a half to go look at a password on a base station to plug that in for someone one time.
I changed my parents' the Wi-Fi password on my parents' router at their apartment. So it's the same SSID and it's the same password as my home network.
Right.
So when I go over there and I don't connect to the Wi-Fi, I'm like, all right, who screwed with mom and dad's router? Wasn't as I know, but yeah, that's how I know instantly that it was usually my brother. My brother will screw with it.
Because he doesn't remember, or because he likes playing games with your brains?
Well, because their password is something like Chad is my favorite son or something.
So I see.
To his name.
So he might be the favorite son that week, huh?
For a minute, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure why you have Chad as my favorite son as your own Wi-Fi password, but that's okay.
Well, with quantum computing coming tomorrow, passwords will be a thing of the past. Encryption, it'll all be destroyed.
No, it won't.
I used to
just need to change.
You saying that's a myth?
Yep, that's a myth.
I used to wonder with biometrics, right? Like early state biometrics. You'd log into your ThinkPad back when I used to use PCs. So this was like decades ago. But they had a thumbprint reader that you could use to unlock it, right? Before that became a normal thing. But then there was an article where they're like, yeah, they stored the thumbprint, your fingerprint, in a non-secure fashion, right? So like,
text.
What do then, right? Like, are they going to issue us new thumbs or new fingerprints in order to unlock our fingerprints?
Idiot device.
Yeah.
You just have to take off your shoes eventually, and then to change your password, get down to, you get 20. That's it.
I saw that. I got excited that I could just log in with a thumb. The first time you do anything like that, it's super exciting. Yep. And then I saw that it was compromised. I'm like, well, God damn it. Now what do I do? Right. So,
well, what about the face recognition where you just take someone's picture and hold it up? Is that a thing?
I know that it doesn't work on iPhone, Apple devices, like, because I can unlock my phone and my iPad with my face.
Yeah, since they use a depth map too, so you'd have to like 3D model their head or something to make it work.
It is not impossible, but it is incredibly, I mean, it's not cost efficient. And I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of the takeaways for like these hacking scenarios that we're coming up with is like,
Right.
you are probably not important enough to be like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I was a government official, if I was a CEO, if I was like somebody, you know, whatever, okay, I might take some additional steps and I might worry a little bit more. But like, odds are you're not that important, right? So,
well, and
That's it.
if you follow good security practices yourself and you don't use password 123 or something like that. But yeah.
But I don't worry about it in general, mostly because I am like really not that big of a deal. So,
Right.
And this is the only time you'll ever hear me say that. Usually I'll say the opposite. Like, I'll get mad at people if they don't realize that I am actually a big deal, but I'm not that big a deal.
Write it down.
For all
Yeah.
intents and purposes, I'm nobody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep your head down. Yeah. So any parting thoughts before we shut her down, gentlemen?
You're not that big of a deal.
You're not.
Is that my part? That can't be my
Yeah.
party. I think the biggest thing for me is like a lot of these myths that we talk about, like they start in a real, like there's a real reason to be worried, or there's some history to why, you know, why they don't just come out of thin air, right? Like everybody, a lot of these things are based in either like a past experience with a different, like kind of like a tangential situation, or like in the case of passwords, like there is a kernel of truth there. Like we can kind of figure out your password, and it's they just don't. The problem is the myths don't like just go away because like people don't.
Yeah. Well,
People
you look at batteries,
Yeah.
like all those things we talked about were nickel metal hydride instead of lithium. Now we're in a lithium world, and the lithium tech has gotten way better. But those myths, because it's just an education, it's a knowledge issue.
Takes a long time to learn and a long time to forget.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think with that, gentlemen, we can shut her down and say goodbye, everybody.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Solution Design Group is a digital product consultancy in Minneapolis. Check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.